When you visit a tropical rainforest, the first thing you see, well, if you come in the dry season, you will notice that there's an incredibly thick layer of leaves on the forest floor versus the wet season, when, of course, most of these leaves go through a very rapid decomposition process. And of course, there's very little remaining on the forest floor except for those leaves that fall off the trees pretty much like on the daily basis. Notice this particular example on the forest floor. You will notice very thick leaves right there, as well as small leaves. The thick ones belong to a tree called Cecropia, which is very commonly found here in the rainforest. But as we're filming this video, perhaps you can see leaves falling off the trees and as they collide on the forest floor. Remember, we spoke about biogeochemical cycling before, and remember that because the tropics are so stable weather-wise, these cycles continue throughout the year. In tropical wet forest, particularly those forests with rich soils, is interesting, but the leaf litter is decomposed in less than a year, and the mineral uptake is, or the minerals are efficiently conserved. So all the leaf litter you're seeing on the ground, on the forest floor, decomposes quickly in richer soils versus poorer soils. And remember, of course, where we have more phosphorus compounds present in the soil, the decomposition of the leaves will occur more rapidly. In forest with poor soils, of course, the leaves are going to tend to build up and stay there for longer periods of time. Another interesting thing that we want to look at right here are the soil characteristics. Reddish soils are found throughout the tropics, and we're going to talk about a little bit about rainforest types of soils. In the tropics, because of the heavy rains and poor soils, soils are definitely exposed to leaching, and they become nutrient poor in the long run. That's why tropical soils, or soils in Central and South America in many regions, are relatively infertile or of very low fertility. Costa Rica is like an exception to the rule in most areas, and some areas of the Andes, because most soils right here are young and mineral rich, and of course we have the presence of volcanic activity. Soils varied regionally because of different variables: climate, vegetation, the topographic position, soil age, and others contribute immensely to the forging of soils. Many soils of the humid tropics are called eutisols, oxysols, and alphisols. Eutisols are usually or generally well weathered, meaning that minerals have been washed or leached from the upper parts of the soil due to the rain. Oxysoils, also called ferrosols, are deeply weathered, all acid, and are found in well-drained, humid regions. Most soils in South America are of this kind of type, or this particular type, sorry. The soils that have iron contents are typically reddish. The soil that we're focusing on right now is that type of soil. It's a reddish type of soil. And oxysols, of course, are found more typically throughout the global tropics, and they are quite acidic. Alphisols are probably more prone to be fertile soils, and of course good for agriculture because they're closer to a neutral pH. These kind of soils that we just spoke about comprise to approximately 71% of the land surface of the humid tropics throughout the world. Other ways to collect nutrients that plants use is seen with efficiency here on your left side of the trail. Many plants grow from the bottom to the top, and of course their root system is attached to the trunk of trees in order to obtain leach nutrients off the tree. Tiny bromeliads, and I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity here to explain how this works. But if you look at this bromeliad, think of dead leaves falling from the top of the tree and being captured by the leaves of the bromeliad. Decomposing leaves caught by or trapped amid the leaves of this bromeliad will actually form detritus that the bromelia will actually use in the uptake of nutrients in the long run. This is a pretty good example on how these things function. Look at this plant right here, for instance, growing from bottom towards the top, and of course taking advantage of leach nutrients of the trees, of all these lichen matter that also traps dead leaves right here, and that will aid to the nutrient uptake of plants in the forest. Canopy leaves. Canopy is probably 40 or 30 meters above us, some 90 feet, 60 feet above us. Canopy leaves are extremely rich in nutrients, and of course when they fall off the tree and reach the forest floor at some point, they will incorporate great amount of nutrients to the soils. So this type of plant, which is called bromeliad, member of the pineapple family, it's a commonly found plant in tropical rainforest, and of course is interestingly adapted to obtain nutrients of the fallen leaves of the canopy of the tropical forest. Another interesting aspect of tropical forest is nitrogen fixation. To begin with this, just remember that 79% of the Earth's atmosphere is gas nitrogen. Remember that some bacteria is able to convert gaseous or gas nitrogen in forms of nitrate, which are readily usable not only by themselves but also by other organisms. This process is called biological nitrogen fixation. There are two kinds of biological nitrogen fixation. One is called symbiotic, in which or free living, and both kinds are accomplished by various bacteria. Symbiotic nitrogen fixation is intimately associated with plants of the legume family. And free living nitrogen, which is the second type, occurs in soils with nitrogen fixing bacteria and is associated with epiphytic microbes and lichens. Since the legume family is very well represented in tropical rainforests, the presence of nitrogen fixing bacteria um, associated with many legume species is very predominant in forests like this. We have reviewed some of important aspects of nutrient cycling in the tropical forests of Central America. And of course, there are more things to be added to the conversation, um, but that can be done in a future trip of yours to Costa Rica. See you next time.